As senior speaker, I want to try and capture the essence of our class. I want to show all of you what makes our class so special, and I want to make sure that every single one of you knows exactly why you should be so excited here today. And I think the best way to do that is for me to start out by saying thank you to you, the class of 2011. Thank you for changing me. Now, how did you change me? And how is this going to help all of you understand what our class is about? Well, my friend, I'm glad you asked. Allow me to take out my loom of storytelling and weave you a tale with the threads of memory. Let me transport you back in time to the beginning of the 2007 to 2008 academic school year, one frosty morning. Picture it, the quaint community of Oregon Episcopal School huddled around the bell tower, our hot breaths vivid in the cold air, all of us bristling in anticipation for the exciting year to come, and for the moment when the bell would be rung 138 times. Now I know that for many of you, this scene likely blurs together with your many other memories of the bell tower ceremony. However, I assure you that this bell tower ceremony was different. It was our class's first bell tower ceremony as members of the upper school. And on that day, while my peers were catching up with friends and meeting up with the new members of our class, I remember standing quietly by myself and being worried. I was worried about school starting, about how hard my classes were going to be, and how mean my teachers were going to be. I was worried about doing well in this new environment and getting into a new good college and graduating. And this wasn't necessarily because this day was special, it was because that's just how I was. We can jump to the end of that year and I was still the same way. In fact, yesterday, I opened up the time capsule that I assembled at the end of my freshman year, and I found a letter that I wrote to myself exactly 4 years ago. After one whole year of high school, these are the only deep reflections I could muster. Dear Sam, I am writing this on June 10th, 2008 at approximately 5:05 p.m. Today you concluded an intriguing foray into the world of high school. And yes, that's actually how I sounded back then. Freshman year brings mixed feelings to you. Humanities is your favorite class, but many times it is very boring. I do better on the essays than the tests, and I do better than Aaron Gupta at both. I am also a better chef than Aaron Gupta. Seriously? After 1 year of new experiences and meeting new people and being in a radically different environment, this is all I could talk about? Humanities and my culinary arch nemesis, Aaron Gupta? I waited 4 years to open this piece of junk? Class of 2011, thank you for changing me. You are the reason why I don't use phrases like intriguing foray anymore. You are the reason why I've ended up having such a memorable time in high school. It may have taken all of freshman year, but you showed me how to be serious and passionate and yet how to swan dive into fun. Because you are all passionate, engaging people who take life seriously. Dimitri, I have never seen anyone stare with such fearless abandon at a geyser webcam, let alone anyone whose name has become so synonymous with the word geyser. Duncan, you started pole vaulting sophomore year with little athletic experience beyond destination imagination, but in the last 3 years, you've become second in the state for pole vaulting, as well as the top scorer for our track team. And you are so modest about our athletic endeavors. I think it's one of the reasons why you have one of our grade's most underrated six-packs. Estelle, you started a school-wide writing festival that has now become an annual tradition. And I know that you probably think that I'm bringing up echoes as a punchline, but it's pretty hard to laugh at something after someone has put such a serious, impressive amount of work into it. By the way, Estelle wanted me to remind you guys that the Echoes Planning Committee meeting will be in the cathedral basement during the reception. The thing is that these descriptions of these 3 random people aren't even half of it. Dimitri's not just the geyser expert, but a half-man, half-Greek god who conquers mountains by himself. Duncan's not just a track star, but a math whiz who's taught himself programming languages from books he got from the library. And Estelle's not just a literary activist, but an out-of-control party animal. And that's only 3 people in our grade. We are all that dynamic. We are all the kinds of people who can obsess over geysers, who can get good at something really fast, who can spread our passions to an entire community, who can get a celebrity to speak at our graduation. One of the other things that makes our class so special is how incredibly close we are as a grade. I think of the rafting trip. I think of how, with half of us either sick or succumbing to allergies, or how we paddled against 50-mile-per-hour winds on our last day, that in theory we should have had an awful time. But we didn't. You probably don't need me to tell you this, but it wasn't about the rafting. It was about the people. It was about the friendship. It was about the bond that we have as a class. It was about the tears. The sweet, sweet tears. Now, I'm not usually one for fake props, so today I brought an actual vial of the actual tears that I harvested at this year's appreciation chapel. And don't worry, even if you weren't a senior who went up to the microphone and shed sugary drops of sadness, during the rafting trip, I snuck into your tent at night, grated an onion near your sleeping eyelids, and harvested a drop or two. And I'm happy to report that my tear drive got 100% class participation. Smells like sadness with smooth undertones of friendship. This is what makes our class special. We are caring people who care about each other, and it's this positive energy that makes us comfortable enough to be passionate, to be different, to go out on a limb, to change. This spirit of our class is the reason why I'm different than that worried, nerdy kid who stood awkwardly at his first freshman bell tower ceremony. It's the reason we've had members of our class who had the courage to run for the student body government their sophomore year. It's the reason why we have so many outstanding athletes, why we have Miss Portland's outstanding teen, why we have people who speak their minds. You can see how much we are bonded as a class and how lively and fun a room is when we fill it together. You can see it in how remarkably easy it was for us to decide on our class theme. You will be able to see it next year by how different upper school gatherings are when we aren't there. I could have come up here today and made cheap jokes. I could have roasted Fred Armisen for SNL's slight decline in quality over the years. I could have done a shout out to my girls, T, R, and P, but I am not a comedian. And I am not spag, balls, or rat. But that's not what matters. What matters is what's inside this vial. What matters is that there is something about the class of 2011 that we are all going to miss. That there is something about the class of 2011 that this school is going to miss. That there is something about our class that makes me thankful that you are going to be the teachers and science researchers and golfers and Miss Americas of the future. And there's something that makes me thankful that you are the people that I get to keep in touch with for the rest of my life. So class of 2011, thank you. And I drink your tears.